Tonight, Minnesota tonight, Minnesota tonight.
Tonight, we'll take 10 to talk about the internet, home to the world's most interesting cat videos and second most interesting Amazon. Until it was broken in 2014 by a picture of some girl's butt, the internet has served to connect billions of people across the globe with unprecedented amounts of information such as local weather forecasts, job boards, and live feeds of pandas. But unfortunately, not everyone is able to join in on the proverbial panda peeping parade. According to recent estimates, more than half the world's population lives without reliable access to the internet. That means when 3.5 billion people want to watch someone fall over, they have to go outside and get lucky. Or, God forbid, watch America's Funniest Home Videos. And worst of all, when these people think of vines, they're thinking of actual vines. And the unconnected are not just people from countries where 20-year-old Americans go to take dating profile pictures, because nothing makes your Tinder profile pop like going to Uganda, digging a hole, calling it a well, and returning back to Maine. No, people with minimal access to the internet also live here in the United States. In fact, in Minnesota, more than 550,000 people live without high-speed internet access at home. That's as if the entire population of Minneapolis didn't have access to high-speed internet. Just think of that. An entire city not being able to log onto Facebook and immediately know how much the weather bothers their friends. For example, in Kitson County, less than 4% of households have wireline broadband internet access. So if you live up there and have access to the internet, you basically become part of the Kitson County Illuminati, an exclusive group of power brokers with the ability to send emails, read the news, decide who Netflix and chills and who just chills. And it's more than just being able to dry hump while watching reruns of Frasier. Increasingly, the internet is becoming an important resource for everyday life.
Increasingly harder to conduct business, receive education and healthcare services, retain our youth, attract entrepreneurs, or stay in touch with friends and families. Today, broadband infrastructure and services are as important as roads and electricity in connecting rural places to the outside world.
That's right. The internet is incredibly important in order to live a modern life. The United Nations has even called access to the internet a basic human right because without it, we would be uninformed, unemployed, and totally in the dark about Wang Wang's love life. And yes, that's a real panda name. When you're charged with continuing an entire species, you can't really beat around the bamboo. The internet is even more important in rural areas. The internet can provide access to online education, job training, as well as more opportunities for businesses to operate outside of cities. And even farmers, you know, those people with the big hats who are featured in political ads, even they need the internet.
You know, the farmers who think they're out in the barn or they're on the tractor, well, he said actually quite a bit. He goes online and looks up latest technology. He's been researching John Deere on the John Deere website, looking at some new equipment. They can get test results on chemicals and fertilizers, find out the current market price.
Really? I just thought farmers use the internet to invite me to their farm bills. Just like words always think I'm their friend. But the most important question is, what the fuck are you supposed to do in rural Minnesota without the internet? It's cold, everything is far away, and until Kevin Bacon gets to town, you're not even allowed to dance.
I thought this was a party! Let's dance!
Now thank you. There's a reason for this. It is expensive to install the wires that connect households and businesses to the internet. In sparsely populated areas, it could cost thousands of dollars just to connect one building. Because of this, many service providers have not invested in expanding their service to rural communities. It makes sense that companies will only build things that are guaranteed to be close to their customers. That's why every single Chico's is located within 3 blocks of a Michael's. And when rural communities do have access to internet, it can be wholly inadequate. An additional 600,000 Minnesotans have access to only one wired internet provider, meaning they have absolutely no choice but to stay with them no matter how terrible they are. Think about it this way. Finding a service provider is like dating. In a city like Minneapolis, you have lots of options for different service providers and eligible bachelors, half of which are named Declan and work in a Vixie bicycle shop. While in a rural area, if you want to be in a relationship, you have to stay with whoever's in town, even if they're slow, inconsistent, and can't last a whole episode of Frasier. Regardless of the financial reasoning behind the patchy broadband infrastructure in greater Minnesota, the result is a lot of people left without even the most basic access to the internet, even when they are paying for it. This is maybe best described by the most Midwestern metaphor ever made.
A big part of the frustration for people is that they're paying quite a bit of money for a service that they're not getting, and that's you're ordering lobster and you're getting mac and cheese day after day, and you're paying for lobster and it's not fun.
Yes, paying for lobster but getting mac and cheese. The only time you should expect that is when you go to a Guy Fieri restaurant. And much like Guy Fieri, this is fucking stupid. Especially when you consider that Minnesotans love the internet, mainly because the screens stimulate the sunlight we lack during the winter. We love it so much that for the last 4 years, we have been the state that has hosted the annual Internet Cat Video Festival, a gathering of the region's recluse aunts who join together to share tips about how to avoid human contact, check out the new spring line of lint rollers, and, this is true, imitate the sound of their own cats in a giant cat head.
Cat head mobile recording station where people would put their heads inside the cat and imitate what they think their cat sounds like.
I can't get my cat to go viral.
Thank you, Internet, for giving them a platform to share their meows for help with the world. Now, even though that was positively depressing, there is a bright spot here. At the end of the most recent session, the Minnesota legislature has approved about $35 million to subsidize broadband infrastructure expansion in greater Minnesota. And while that bill was not signed into law due to a writing error, it is encouraging to see elected officials are willing to invest in services that people need. Hopefully soon, Minnesotans in all corners of the state will have access to reliable internet right from their homes. But there's just one thing.
But having robust broadband systems does not guarantee use. If you build it, they will come is just not true when it comes to broadband. Many rural Minnesotans do not have the financial resources or the skills necessary to enjoy the full benefits of broadband technology.
That's exactly right. Just because people have access to the internet doesn't necessarily mean they will know how to use it. They need to be taught how to use the internet, and who has that skill and nuance better than the comedians of Minnesota tonight? Sure, we're a bunch of kids from the Twin Cities that have never seen a cow or even really understand where milk comes from, but we know the internet like the backs of our soft, uncalloused hands. So here at Minnesota Tonight, we have made a helpful training video for those across Minnesota who might be new to the World Wide Web. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Brendan. If you can't tell by my tone and my body type, I'm known as the human inspiration for the Microsoft Word Office Assistant, Clippy. If you live in rural Minnesota, you may not have had reliable access to the internet for some time. It's common for new users to become overwhelmed, but not you. You're going to make the most of the World Wide Web today. First advantage of the internet, utility. We can use the internet to take steps in living a healthy, productive life.
I use the internet to search for jobs that are available in my area. And I can apply for them all, right from my desk.
She looks busy. Let's keep going.
After a hard day of work, I don't have to go to the video store or the dance hall. I can just go home and open up an internet window and load up the fun.
That's right, Tani. The internet is also an endless source of entertainment. YouTube, Netflix, Jay-Z's glitchy, expensive midlife crisis, all the movie and music you could ever want, right at the tips of your soft, supple fingertips.
I think I'm going to watch one episode of MASH, eat a good dinner, and get a good night's rest.
Oh, Tani, you're something else. How's the job search going?
I can apply for unemployment right from my desk.
Terrific. But none of the internet's tools would be as rewarding if we couldn't share them with friends.
I use the internet to connect to new friends. And plenty of old ones too. Here's a picture on Facebook of my middle school boyfriend Jeff, graduating from his PhD program. And here's one of him climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Oh, and here's one of him holding his second child, while his beautiful, natural blonde wife just stands in the background.
Can you believe it?
The internet's social media helps us stay connected. All from my chair. My off-brand chair.
Okay, let's just relax.
I'm nothing. I don't have any of this. I don't have a kid. I don't have a husband or...
I'm gonna go check on Angel.
I can't even keep a plant alive.
How's your internet job search going?
I can sell my kidneys right from my desk.
Hi, Tani. I've noticed that you've been watching MASH for 3 days.
False. Rewatching it so I can comment on the Tumblr of someone else who was watching it.
Well, it looks like you're having trouble getting off the internet. Would you like help?
Hey, Skaterface420. In the last episode of MASH, Alan Alda actually leaves his canvas bag, not his helmet, behind. Lick your own balls and choke on them.
It's easy to make friends on the internet.
What?
Welcome to the internet, rural Minnesota. You've been missing out. Stop crying.
Tonight, Minnesota tonight, Minnesota tonight. Yeah. Tune in, Minnesota tonight. Tune in, Minnesota tonight. Minnesota tonight. Minnesota tonight.